everyone, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it is Top 5 Wednesday time. And if you are new to Top 5 Wednesday, this is a Goodreads group created by Ginger Reads Laney and Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. Sam is the one who's currently hosting Top 5 Wednesday, and it is a group where basically they give us book-related subjects, and each week of the month, we pick our top 5 favorites related to that particular topic. And if you are interested in doing this, I will post the link to the Goodreads group on the description box below. And let's begin. So, this week's topic is your top 5 favorite authors. Now, one of my original answers, I was going to say, I've come to realize that it wouldn't be fair of me I feel like it wouldn't entirely be fair of me to say this person because I've only seen a movie version. I've never actually seen, no, I mean, I've read one of the books in the particular series that I'm thinking now of, but most of my original first exposure to the character was in movie format. In that one, he plays more of a father figure than in the book that I did read. So, I think I said top 5 father figures. For some reason, I forget if sometimes I'm like, did I actually tell you? Did I actually say it? It's very weird, but I always feel like sometimes I feel like after I do a long-winded explanation, then I think, did I actually say what this was about? Okay, so I'm going to mention that one first. And that was Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Now, it's not just actual fathers, but it's father figures / actual fathers. But I feel like Gandalf kind of took on a fatherly role. Or, well, more like grandfatherly role, but still, I feel like he took a fatherly role, particularly with the hobbits. He was always giving advice, and and he had that sometimes where fathers can be a little grumpy at times and impatient with their children, and he had a lot of faith in those that he helped and guided, like the hobbits and the dwarves and all the and I just feel like he was definitely, and here's the book. I totally forgot to show you the book. I haven't. The book I read was not this one, but I read The Hobbit. Because, I mean, since it was originally written for kids, it's a little easier to read. And, I mean, if you can read Tolkien and you like Tolkien and everything, that's great. But for me, it was just really a little too challenging, and I had a hard time getting into the book, honestly. But it was easier for me to go watch the Lord of the Rings movies than read the book. I mean, I keep going back and forth saying, I'm gonna read it, but then it was like, every time I've attempted, which, yes, it's only been a few times I've attempted this, and just all those times, it's the typical reaction of when I read big books, only I feel like it's a little worse. But yes, Gandalf, I feel like, is very much a fatherly figure, especially to the hobbits, because, like I said, he gives fatherly advice, and he's a bit of their guide, and he's there, and, like, in The Hobbit, like, Bilbo and the dwarves are kind of like, he has a lot of faith in them, and, is all trying to share his wisdom with them, and trying to guide them in the right direction without telling them directly what to do. Besides the fact that they probably won't listen to him anyway. Not just because they are technically adults in their race, but considered adults, but just they're also, like, not just Bilbo and Thorin are both very stubborn. But yeah, that was Gandalf. I feel like he's definitely a father figure. The next father figure that I really love is Ned Stark. That was number 1. The number 2 is Ned Stark and Eddard Stark, aka Ned Stark. Unfortunately, he also was a father that made a lot of mistakes. but especially in this kind of the world of Westeros. But he was always giving good advice and always supported his children and took care of them and was determined to protect them, and he taught them good morals. And he always supported them. Like, he supported Arya's desire to be, not just a pretty girl who could sew and make babies and all of that and be a queen. He taught her, he allowed her to learn how to sword fight. And he did not judge her for acting like a tomboy and wanting to fight with the boys. Or that her desire to want to sword play and all of that. He was very loving and supportive to all his children, to Robb and Jon. Even though Jon Snow wasn't is his bastard child, he treated him like his, not just his bastard, but his actual son. And he respected and honored his wife, and he respected his children, and he taught them well, and he was always supporting them, and he was always giving the best wisdom he could give, and always try to be the best he could be for them, and to set a good example for them. Fortunately, sadly, if you've read the book, you know what happens to Ned Stark, which is very heartbreaking, because, unfortunately, even though he was a good person and a good father, his extremely moral compass had got him killed in this world. Because it's kind of hard to be a moral person and survive in Westeros. So the next one, this is the one I decided to replace Gandalf with. And that is Derrick from the Dragon Rider Chronicles. This is a middle grade book about this young man, Javine, who is half human, half elf, and he is discovered by one of the Knights of the Realm, Derrick, and sees his potential for becoming a dragon rider. So it's kind of like the inheritance cycle meets Lord of the Rings meets Harry Potter. And he takes him to the school for kids to be trained to be dragon riders. So, it has the typical elements of a story about going to a boarding school storylines where, there's bullies, he has teachers that don't like him, his classmates, not just bullies, but other classmates who judge him because he's half elf. Because unfortunately, being half elf, half human, he's accepted by neither race, because he's not completely either one. And Derrick is a knight that takes him in and trains him. Unfortunately, he is targeted in this book. There's a conspiracy on him and his life, and then he ends up getting hurt, I think, in this book, and he can no longer be a mentor to Javine, but he is involved in he is part of the second book. And he still kind of mentors Javine and takes him in and trains him. And he's hard on Javine, but he's also a good father. He really takes care of Javine and helps him out and guides him in the right direction. And he's hard on the boy, but he's not mean. Like his foster father, or the person that is, although I'm debating, because I think I don't know, but he, a man who is supposedly his father treats him like crap, because he's half elf, not just half human, and he's also a bastard, so it's like, they don't want anything, his biological father's family wants nothing to do with him, and his biological father treats him like I said, like crap, because of his heritage and everything. But anyway, Derrick is just, he's a much better father to Javine than his biological father. Which, by the way, I don't like recommending books that often, but I do think this is a fun series for you guys, for people to check out. If for those of you who will read middle grade, even though you're an adult, if you still enjoy a middle grade, this is really fun, and it's very quick, I feel like. It doesn't take that long. It's 4 books. This is one of the few times where I bought a series from a convention, and I actually got I was able to get all 5 books in the series, because the woman who would and I think she's the publisher or the agent of the author or someone, but she had all 4 books. Yeah, there's only 293 pages, not counting the little map in the book. So it's a quick read. It's very fun. And like I said, Derrick I really love his character as a father and a mentor to our main character, Javid. So that's what I used to really replace Gandalf, although obviously I kind of broke the rules, and I'm talking about 6 father figures. You know, it's only supposed to be 5. So the next one, I don't know if this father figure is even in this book from the series, but I actually donated, and like I said, I donated it in my defense, so it's not, it's gone to a good home. My copies of The Moral Instruments by Cassandra Clare and the Infernal Devices, I mean, I thought about rereading the series Infernal Devices, but I decided, I had them for so long, and I still hadn't gotten to them. And as I said in the past, my mom has said she is not going to buy me another bookshelf, and I can't afford to buy another bookshelf for myself. Maybe one day, like if I'm not living at home anymore, I'll buy another bookshelf. But I ended up, so I've been having to donate my books, and and I don't mind. I mean, it's actually, at least they're going, as my sister says, if you have to get rid of stuff, then why not give them to someone who will appreciate it? So I didn't know if I would ever get around to reading the books. I do watch the Shadowhunter series, but I've kind of lost a little bit of interest, but I still have a soft spot for the series. And unfortunately, sadly, the Shadowhunter series has been canceled. But as I've told my friend Jessica, I'm not really surprised. But anyway, but I do have the Bane Chronicles, and I have this particular series, this one with the Tales from. I just got this last Christmas. So the father figure I'm going to bring up, I don't know if he's actually in this particular book, but these are the only ones I have. So that's why I gave you that long-winded explanation about my feelings on the series. And that is Luke. Luke, I forgot his last name. From the, I think Luke is a very good father figure to both Clary, I'm combining their names. I don't even ship them yeah, I kind of actually do. I've kind of started to like Simon a little bit more than than Jace as I've gotten older. But like I said, I don't know if Luke is actually in this particular book, but again, it's the only ones. This one and Bane Chronicles are the only ones that I have. But Luke has always been, he always protects Simon and Clary. He's always there for them. He loves them like they were his own children. And he's always trying to give them advice and help them out and help them understand this world that they have been swept up in. And he's always trying to protect Clary and give her advice, particularly with Clary, because, he feels like a father mostly to her, but he's also a father figure to Simon. And I've always liked those father figures who are the more quiet father figures. The intellectual type fathers. That's actually why one of my people on here, I decided not to share him, is Remus Lupin. But like I said, I decided not to include him because Sam has requested that we try not to include Harry Potter because that's an easy answer. You can include any book-related subject, I think, or almost any book-related subject, you can incorporate Harry Potter in there. So she requests, and I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to be bothered if she requests that we don't include Harry Potter, because there have been people who have not appreciated that she has requested people in certain, she's like even directly said in some of her, explanation of the topics for the month, try not to include Harry Potter. Because, like I said, because it's just, easy. It's easy to include Harry Potter because most people have read Harry Potter and in the book world. So I'm not gonna. I did almost include Harry Potter character Remus Lupin, but then I decided not to. And even if I did, it's not like she would get mad at me if I include Harry Potter, because she doesn't have time to get mad at people, and it's not that serious. So, but anyway, so I was gonna include him, but I decided not to. But he reminds me of Luke in a way. Yeah, like I said, that intellectual, soft-spoken, stern and protective, but not like, if he gets angry, it's, you don't expect it. Not in a not like an abusive kind of way, but like it's a bigger deal if this person gets angry and is disappointed in you. Not, and you don't, in these characters like Harry, for instance, or like, in this case, Clary or Simon, then, yeah, they would feel horrible about that and know that they've let him down. Okay, so the next one I'm going to talk about, let me do this one first. Now this one I don't have an individual book, I just have this bind-up version of the author's books. And I'm talking about Mr. Bennett from Pride and Prejudice. Now, I have this one. I used to actually have a copy of Pride and Prejudice, but it was my sister's copy, so I gave it back to her. And since I have this, any copies of Jane Austen novels, and if I have them in regular paperback, I've gotten rid of because I just have this. But I've come to realize that the only problem with this is that I can't take this places. I mean, I could, but it will be really heavy, and it's very valuable, and I wouldn't want to accidentally lose it. Even though it's really big, I could still potentially, leave it behind somewhere. And it would be hard to travel with it, like I said. So, but Mr. Bennett, like Luke and Remus Lupin, he's a much more quiet, subservient kind of father figure. I mean, not subservient, but, he's like, yes, dear, you're right, when it comes to his wife. But he's very loving of his children and supportive, and he doesn't force them into marriages, despite the time period. I feel like he doesn't push them to marry certain people. The mother, in fact, I think is more pushy than the father, I feel like. And he's always supporting his children, he, supports the fact he doesn't push Elizabeth when she doesn't want to marry certain people. When their mom tried to fix Elizabeth up with Mr. I can't remember his name, that really boring guy that was, what is his name? He was all like, your mother might not talk to you anymore, but I will not talk to you ever again if you marry this guy. Which I love that. I love how he was like, if you go through with what your mother wants, then I will never speak to you again. And he's very loving to Elizabeth and her sisters. And, he supports her when she doesn't want to marry Darcy, and when she does want to marry Darcy. And he's very understanding, I feel like. So I think he's an ideal father, I feel like. So, is this a pretty edition? I just love this one. Like I said, the only problem with this is I can't take it traveling with me. Okay, so the last father figure I want to pick that I'm going to tell you about is Jupiter North from the Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. This is one of the ones that's not, he's actually a father figure. He's not our main girl's father. Although for a while I was thinking, granted this is only the first book, so maybe the twist will be he is her biological father. But, oh wait, no, never mind. We know he's not. Never mind. That's right. We know he's not. That's right. Someone else is her biological father. Not the guy who raised her. But, that's right. I totally forgot that was the twist. Who her biological father was. But Jupiter North is so awesome as a father figure to Morgan. He's always supportive of her, and he does everything he can to help and protect and guide her. And that's like all these father figures I mentioned. They do everything they can to protect and guide their children. And he's, hi Rascal, my dog just came in. And he's also like, now he's not perfect. I mean, none of these father figures are perfect, if you think about it. But my Rascal, he's so sweet. Like, he doesn't tell her everything up front, and Morgan, our main character, definitely can see through when he's not telling her everything, which is not always, which I know you want to try to protect them from the evils of the world and whatnot, or from getting their feelings hurt or anything like that, but sometimes I think that not telling your kids is even worse than telling them the truth. Because then it always comes back to haunt them. And it always results in causing the problems that the conflict results in the conflict that happens in the book. But he's also very comical. He's just a funny guy. And I think it's because my dad is like that. I like father figures that are very snarky and funny and sarcastic. And that's Jupiter North is definitely very snarky. And he's fun and spontaneous and clever, and he represents traits and male characters just like in general. But like I said, he also is a good father to Morgan. He sets the best example he can. Now, I wouldn't say it's the best example, but as in, like, it's not a good example for her because he tends to cause a lot of mischief, but either way, I feel like, and he makes sure that she knows that she is not cursed, that she is a good kid that deserves the best, which, that to me is definitely a plus. You have to be a father figure that doesn't just support your kids or protect them or guide them, but you also have to believe in them and to give them confidence in the best way you can. And always, and to not make them feel bad about themselves, but make them feel good about themselves, make them feel proud. And I feel like that's what Jupiter does throughout this whole book. He tries really hard to make Morgan feel proud of herself and not ashamed, and not let people think that she is bad luck or that she is a curse on the town that she grew up in. So those are my top 6. Technically, 6 father figures. Like I said, normally you're supposed to pick 5 father figures, but again, I don't think I don't think Sam is gonna come after me if I did 6 people, or even if I did bring Harry Potter, which I guess I kind of did. So who are your top 5 favorite fathers or father figures? If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. And much love to all my already subscribed viewers. And enjoy your reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Alright, bye.